you hear that out there? Very good, children. My brothers and sisters from the United Kingdom, welcome. My brothers and sisters from Australia, welcome. My brothers and sisters from the United States of America, welcome. Whoa, whoa, Canada. Welcome. Everybody, welcome to Poland. Can you guys believe we're here? Can you believe we're here? We're on the soil that grew the greatest saints of modern times. We're also here in the epicenter of some of the greatest suffering and challenges the world has ever faced. For over 100 years, Poland wasn't even on the map. If you looked at a map in the 1800s, you wouldn't have seen this country. It was taken over by all its neighbors who were warring with each other. In World War I, they got their sovereignty back and enjoyed it until the Nazis took over. Guys, if the world was torn asunder in World War II, this is the heart of all that pain. A lot of you guys went to Auschwitz and saw the horrors there. 1 in 5 people in Poland did not make it through World War II. And then they called World War II the war we lost twice. Because after World War II, the world handed them over to Stalin. And Stalin hated Poles and Polish culture just as much as the Nazis. Guys, this climate of suffering and pain, this is the soil that grew the greatest saints of modern times. You know why? Because great saints come from great trials, from great strife, from great sagas, from great suffering. Man, I wish there was another way. I so badly want to be the patron saint of people who sit on a beach, sip a Corona, and have someone feed them grapes. But there's no job opening for that guy. It's the struggles that breed the great saints. Great saints like Maximilian Kolbe. Give it up for that man. He was a little boy, drove his parents crazy, and his mom said, "What's going to become of you?" That really bothered him. He went to his room and wondered, what's going to become of me? And in his lowest moment, the Blessed Mother appears to him with 2 crowns, chastity and martyrdom, hands it to him and says, "Pick one." And the little boy reached out and grabbed both. He received that crown of chastity as a Franciscan priest. Give it up for our priests. Yeah. And then martyrdom at Auschwitz. In that deepest darkness, the light of Jesus Christ shone through. When he was in Auschwitz for preaching against the Nazis, a prisoner escaped, and to deter every other prisoner from ever thinking of escaping, they'd line everyone up, put them through a horrifying process. The commander would walk slowly down the line. You. The people he chose were thrown in a starvation bunker. No food, no water until they died. It was a horrific way to die. And then one of the men chosen this day fell to his knees and sobbed. "What about my wife? What about my kids?" Father Kolbe saw this, and he stepped out of line. He walked right past all the guards, right past the guard dogs, right in front of the commander at Auschwitz. And people who survived remembered the commander was shaking in the presence of Father Kolbe. Oh yeah, he was a big deal. But he was in the presence of spiritual greatness. He said, "What do you want?" "I want to take that man's place." I said, "What are you, crazy?" He said, "I'm a Catholic priest." In other words, yes, I'm crazy, but in a good way. Fine, switch him out. It was a miracle that he let him switch out. And that week, instead of hearing curses and cries from the starvation bunker, they heard people singing in praise to God. After 12 days, Father Kolbe was the only one left. They came in to kill him. He was praying serenely. They injected him with carbolic acid. His last act was to bless the men who killed him. Guys, all the powers of empire pass away. But people who lay down their lives and others for Jesus Christ, they blaze like the sun for all eternity. Give it up for John Paul the Great, who grew from this great soil. Here's a guy who knew all the sufferings of his nation, of his people, of his country. But he also had profound suffering in his own life. His mom died when he was 8. His big brother died when he was only 12 years old. People described him in junior high as being withdrawn and quiet. So if you were depressed in junior high, you might be Pope someday. He watches Nazis and communists take over his country. When he was 20, he came home and found his dad dead on the floor. He said, I never felt more alone in my life. Oh, this guy had every reason to be afraid of the powers of the world around him. But the central theme of his pontificate was, be not afraid. Amen? And when he was bishop here in Krakow, the communists were messing with him. They started this town called Nowa Huta, New Town. It was a communist utopia. There was no church in this town. Free love was promoted, and it was all about work. People's schedules were set so they couldn't even spend time with their kids. It was miserable. Imagine no religion. They imagined no religion, and it stunk. And the people of the town protested. They built a big cross. The communists knocked the cross down. The people built it back up. They knocked it back down. Guys, it's that cross where John Paul II, as Bishop of Krakow, would go and celebrate Mass on Christmas Eve every year. Outside in the freezing cold with the communists watching who might have killed him. Imagine what it did for the soul of this people when that guy becomes the first Polish Pope. He came back here. Amen. He comes back here in 1979. Millions came out to greet him, chanting, "We want God. We want God." The communist dictators who were watching were shaking with fear. Within 20 years, communism fell in these lands and throughout Eastern Europe, but they knew in 1979 they didn't have a prayer. Brothers and sisters, let's not forget that past. Just 40 years ago, this event would have been absolutely impossible. But the love of Jesus Christ always wins. The mercy of God wins. And let's give it up for our beautiful sister, Saint Faustina. You know what, guys, for a lot of the saints, the extraordinary things they did was the big message from God to the world. There was nothing special about this person. We might feel that way about ourselves sometimes, nothing special about us. Her sisters in the convent didn't notice anything special about her, but there, hidden in the walls of the convent, at a place where John Paul II used to walk past on his way to work, a nun gave her entire life to prayer. Jesus appeared to her for 7 years before her death with a message for the world. This message is the antidote for all the evils the world experienced in the 20th century. Just 35 miles from Auschwitz, the answer to all the pain. What am I supposed to do with the sins I've committed? How do I put my life back together and move on? How can I possibly forgive people when I've seen so much evil done? How can I possibly be healed? And you know what the answer is from God that he revealed to St. Faustina? Mercy. The only answer is the arms of Jesus Christ open wide to the world, no matter what, and inviting us to open our arms wide to the world, no matter what. Can we give it up for the great mercy of God? Brothers and sisters from all around the world, we are not on this pilgrimage alone. And you may have caught on to this already. A pilgrimage is not a vacation. Amen? A pilgrimage is a journey. A vacation, you escape from life. A pilgrimage, you embrace it more profoundly, more deeply. See, pilgrimage is what our entire life is. It's this journey to heaven where we're formed by the joys and the sufferings, the ups and the downs, the struggles, the soil of the struggle of our own lives. And we grow into the saints that we admire, that we look up to, that are our heroes. You see, the message of the saints is that that's what we're called to be. Can I hear an amen to that? And we don't journey alone. We journey with those saints. We journey with each other. And we're here also to journey with our Holy Father, Pope Francis. And also accompanying us on this beautiful journey, we have with us some people who are really central to the planning of this event, the Sisters of Life. Can we give it up for all our beautiful religious sisters? And one of them is going to share a profound message with you guys this morning. The Sisters of Life, by the way, they've given their lives to serving women in crisis pregnancies, to helping people to choose life instead of abortion, and to counseling women who've been wounded by abortion. And one of those beautiful sisters and saints in the making, let's give it up for Sister Bethany.